So where do you think creative energy comes from?
Creative energy comes from your soul. It's if the soul is the being within all of us, it's the driver. Like it's to drive our bodies and our minds. And hopefully, when things are happening, we can be a vessel for that soul to be able to have its time here on the planet this time around.
So it's a spiritual thing.
It is your spirit. I think your creativity is your spirit. And I think it's the reason we're here is to learn all the lessons that this spirit has to learn from our experiences with one another as humans. And one form of expression of those experiences is art. And so I think creativity, the soul, and the experiences we have become catalysts for creation of art.
Have you done this before?
No. Done what?
This interview. So how does it make you feel when you got a good flow going?
It makes me feel like I'm in my lover's arms. You know, when I'm on top of the world, I'm having a love affair with myself and the world, and I'm floating on cloud 9, and I can do no harm, and everything I say or do is exactly as it should be, you know. And then something happens, and maybe I got too excited about my lover or my creativity, and it falls away, and it's like the depression of getting cut off of some drug if you have addictions to drugs. And I think losing creativity, the cycle of creativity entering my life and exiting my life is one of the most painful cycles I know of. And it's just like a lover coming in and then a lover leaving.
That's awesome. That's a really good answer, man.
I mean, and it hurts so bad. And then I think it does have to do with my own attachment to the outcome of my creation. Like when I'm in the moment of creation, and I'm really in it, then I'm not thinking about the actual creation itself, the fruit of my labors. I'm just being the laborer, and it's with all the love you can have to be that laborer. But the moment I start idealizing or eating the fruit, if you will, wanting the fruit to be tasty or wanting other people to admire the taste of my fruit, I think it's my own, that could be my own ego just coming out and then shattering my creative spirit. And I think it has to do with my mind connection too. Like when I'm really being creative, my mind is being used as a tool to help, but when I slip out, then my mind is my own worst nightmare. It's a demon or something.
Is there anything you do to kind of get your mind ready or kind of set the table for a creative session? Is there any kind of ritual to it, or is it all different every time?
I think there are practices that we can become familiar with that can allow us to understand our connection with our mind, and like meditation or just breathing or yoga practices of connecting to the self within are just a general guideline of practices that I think help. But for me, I get really creatively inspired when I come into contact with another creative being, or hear a piece of music, or see a movie, or read a book that moves me in a way that it just jolts me back into a creative zone, you know? Or I play a jam and get so connected to the musician I'm playing with that I forget about myself, and then it jolts me into that creative spirit. And I'm just so thankful for those moments because then you remember, and that remembrance is like the most powerful gift we can have.
This is really good. What are your thoughts about the relationship of creativity and the imagination and dreaming?
I think our dreams are our teachers. And there's so many different relationships you can have with your teacher. You know, sometimes I realize I have the same frustrations that I have on the physical plane in my dream plane. Like, I'm in motion, running, and my legs just won't move forward in my dream, and I'm frustrated with the fact that my legs won't move forward. And that's like I'm frustrated in my own life on the physical plane with something that's stopping me from actually going into motion. And I think it's when I can watch my dreams like an observer of the dream and witness that something is stopping my legs from going, but it's only me. I'm the dreamer. I'm the one in control of my legs in that dream, and if I can witness it and go, just let your legs go. Let your legs run. If you can watch your dream in that way, I think you can connect to them where the dream can become your own reality, and I think the same things that trip you up in the dream can become the same things that free you in the dream and then in your own reality too. And I hope that happens someday.
Do you dream lucidly?
When I become conscious of it in a dream, sometimes I wake up. But I think that it's a practice. I think you can practice becoming conscious in a dream and then remaining in the dream state.
Do you think that has an impact on your creativity?
I think it has an impact on your life and your ability to learn from what is being offered.
With your awareness?
Your awareness of it. And that impacts your life in the way you move through every single day and every thought and every action, and then that in turn affects your creative process.
What are some things that get in your way creatively?
My mind, my own, I think my desires, the future thoughts of what will be rather than thoughts of what are, and thoughts of what I want to be or how I want to be seen rather than who I am. Like when I go external versus internal, I think that stumps me up.
Who are some of your favorite creators here in Nashville? Like creative people, personalities that you really admire?
Here in Nashville?
Yeah.
I've been creating with a lady named Laurie White, who is an incredible songwriter and being and mother and engineer and producer, and she wears so many different hats. It's really inspiring that she can just walk through life without really neglecting any part of herself and be a complete woman as well as a complete artist, and that's really inspiring. Alison Krauss is an amazing artist. She has an amazing voice. Bonnie Raitt is someone that I think is so talented and really, if understanding the depth of how art can affect the soul, I feel like Bonnie Raitt has a deep understanding of that, and she's a gift to all of us.
What are, so, what are your thoughts on how many folks are so easily able to overlook or deny this? Well, I mean, it's all a matter of opinion, but how do you think that it is that people, I'm trying to frame this in a way that is not really divisive or condescending. Like, how do you think people can escape, doing it again, how do you think people can't realize that there's a spiritual thing going on with music and with creativity? How do you think that's possible? What do you think holds people back from kind of embracing that?
Do you think people don't know?
I think a lot of people are just like, oh, it's just kind of practical. I just write songs and sing them. Just a means to an end.
I don't think you can separate it. I guess I'm not around many people who do.
You need to hang out with your friends.
I feel like I've been lucky to get to see people who are inspired by life and how that becomes a reaction of their personal life and what they do. And I think that, I don't think there is a separation between your spirit and your creation, and your creativity and the force and how the music moves through you. And it's really recognizable within some artists where you can feel the depth of their connection. Something happens when they sing, like Daryl Scott, he sings, and you can feel literally my insides start churning. Like I'm feeling his spirit go inside of me and like pull me where it's magnetically, I'm just like connected to him. That happened also at a Carrie Rodriguez and Chip Taylor show one time. They have one of those powerful connecting forces together where your chin drops down and you can't believe you're watching this expression of such reality. And when people can do that on a stage and relinquish their own inhibitions or fears of judgments, and they just can be in that state on a stage, I think that's incredibly powerful.
And one thing you mentioned there was kind of getting away from...
I don't think that made any sense, what I just said.
I think it did, and what I got from that was like you're just able to, kind of not worry about the judgment and the criticism.
When people can get to that spot, I think that it really shows their creativity.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the separation. I guess if someone looks at it just like a job, then there's a separation between the spirit and the creation. Like, this is my job. But there's got to be something that inspired you for it to be your job. Like, I think it's a really hard road to walk down if you're not deeply in love with it. Choosing music just because you can make money, it's not really a reality. I don't think people do that because you can, but it's a really hard road to walk down, and I think that the people who choose to walk down the music road have been deeply moved by music themselves.
So walk me through the creative process from formlessness to form.
For me?
For you, yeah.
In songwriting?
Or just anything.
I guess most recently it's been happening in songwriting form the most, and it lots of times in motion, like when I'm running or when I'm driving, it seems like just some line will come into me, and I'll literally, if I'm just driving alone in my car, I'll be like, I am one of those, and I just start singing to myself, and I just start singing on repeat, and I think it's best that I'm alone. And then hopefully I'll either get my phone out and sing into it to try to capture that thing that's happening inside me, or I'll miss it. And then I'll try to get to a notebook and write it down. And then there's that talk people say about inspiration and perspiration. You get that inspiration and then taking it back to my desk, which really is my bed, and just sitting on my bed and writing down the rest of the lyrics, and I hear the melody with the lyric as I'm writing down the lyric. Like, it makes sense song-wise. And then I go to an instrument, either my fiddle or a guitar or ukulele or a piano, and try to either replay that melody or play like the rhythmic concept I hear behind it, and then build that into the chord changes that I hear behind it, and hopefully it comes out as a song. And sometimes it only gets stuck somewhere in the middle of the process, and there's like 100 half-written songs in my book right now that I wish could just get to that place where I can actually hear it out loud, because it's really frustrating. That's my biggest frustration, is getting it out into the world.
Have you ever had a moment that that was like a watershed for you creatively, like where it was like a turning point, like pivotal moment for you, either spiritually or just anything?
When I was writing one of the songs, Things I'll Never Do, it's a song that I think was one of the first songs I wrote only from the truth, only without trying to be a creative rhymer, or it was all just true lines that had happened from my life. And then when I met with Matt Rawlings, who helped me finish writing that song, I had written it like a bluegrass song, and he plays piano and understands music in a different level than me. And when he played piano, I was like, why don't you make it into a ballad? And we started working on it. We really spent about the next 6 hours completely diving into what this song really means and where it comes from within me. And I just bawled the entire day. I walked out of that room completely drained emotionally and completely exhausted, just because of the level of depth we got into and the understanding. And that made me realize how much you really have to give if you want how much you have to give of yourself to the muse or to the creation. You have to give all of yourself emotionally, all of yourself honestly. What Joni Mitchell says is songwriting is like taking your dirty laundry and hanging it out on a clothesline in your front yard for everyone to see. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. Just being completely naked, completely vulnerable, completely exposed, and not scared of what your dirty underwear might look like to someone else.
Where is your creativity taking you right now? Either thematically or spiritually or technically, or maybe with considerations of all that?
I think it's teaching me about myself. I keep writing songs that are really lessons for me to learn, that I'm supposed to learn. And it's almost like I'm preaching to myself. And I don't want to be such a preacher. I'm like, stop preaching to yourself. Just live that way and write other songs. I don't know. I can't figure it out right now.
What advice might you have for someone just getting started, either writing songs or painting or doing anything creative?
Whatever it is you want to create, just create it. Just walk down your path fully. Give everything you have to it. And don't let anyone else change what you have going on in your own heart. Just continue walking your path.
What do you have to say about this guy over here?
Dominic?
He's a mighty creative musician.
I think he's one of the people, I've never met someone so in touch with themselves as an expression of their art. When he plays music, he plays almost as if the muse is playing with him. His fingers touch the strings, and the sound is so pure and light-hearted and light-spirited, just like his own being is so full of light and generosity when he plays. It's like he's creating a basket for you to play with. Like he's supporting you, and he's playing so selflessly. He's giving himself away to you in honor of the higher power or the music. So I feel like he honors the music to the nth degree, and I really admire that about him.
This guy. Any final thoughts about creativity, the process, or anything that you come back to as an artist, like just something that kind of sums it all up, or something that, anything along those lines, anything pinging on your creative radar at the moment that maybe we haven't covered.
I love creativity. I think it's what allows us to connect to one another and really see people for who they really are, because I think people are expressions of creativity, and they might not say it, they might not be able to say about themselves what you see when you hear them playing their music, or what you see when you see a painting that they've painted or a book that they've written. A part of someone comes out that you might never have met just at an office space or sitting and having coffee even, because it's such a deep expression of the human being. And I think it's the greatest part of life.